Welcome to Happiness Habits. The mission of Happiness Habits is to spread happiness and joy to everyone. Why is it that we often find ourselves focusing more on the negatives, the missing pieces in our lives, rather than the positives? It's a question that perplexes us all. As humans, we have a tendency to dwell on the things that are wrong, the problems we face, the gaps in our lives. We are often blind to the good things, the successes, the fulfilled aspects of our lives. This is what Dennis Prager, a popular radio host and writer, refers to as the missing tile syndrome. Just like a ceiling with one tile missing, our eyes are naturally drawn to the gap, the absence. We forget the numerous tiles that are perfectly in place, creating a beautiful pattern. We overlook the things that are working well, the facets of our life that are complete and fulfilling. This tendency to focus on the missing tile can often lead us to overlook the many tiles that are in place. There's actually a psychological reason behind our propensity to focus on the negatives. You see, our brains are built with a sort of negativity bias. This bias has its roots deeply embedded in our evolutionary history. Our early human ancestors were constantly on the lookout for potential threats. Every rustle in the bushes, every shadow in the night could mean danger. To survive, they had to be alert and sensitive to these potential threats. So they developed a heightened awareness for negative stimuli, effectively wiring our brains to respond more strongly to negative experiences. But why does this negativity bias persist today, when most of us aren't fending off predators or battling for survival? Well, our modern threats may not be life-threatening in the same way, but our brains still react to them as if they were. A critical comment from a colleague, a disappointing grade, a tense conversation with a loved one. These situations trigger the same alertness and sensitivity in our brains. This negativity bias means we tend to pay more attention to the bad things that happen, rather than the good. It's why we remember insults more vividly than compliments, why we dwell on our mistakes instead of our successes. It's also why we often focus on what's missing or wrong in our lives, rather than appreciating what's working. But it's not all doom and gloom. Recognizing this bias is the first step towards overcoming it. When we understand that our brains are wired this way, we can take steps to counteract this negativity bias. We can train ourselves to focus more on the positive and less on the negative. We can work to shift our perspective and cultivate a more balanced view of our lives. In essence, understanding this psychological tendency can help us become more aware of our thought patterns. And with this awareness, we can start to change them, to focus less on the missing tiles in our lives and more on the beautiful mosaic that they're a part of. So, what does this negativity do to us? Well, imagine your mind is a garden. If you water the weeds of negativity, they will undoubtedly overtake the beautiful flowers of positivity. The same goes for our minds. When we focus on the negatives, they can grow and multiply, overshadowing the positives, until all we see is a garden overgrown with weeds. One of the most immediate effects of this negative focus is an increase in stress. Our bodies react to our thoughts. So, when we are constantly dwelling on the negatives, our bodies respond accordingly, producing stress hormones like cortisol. Over time, this can lead to a whole host of health problems, including heart disease, diabetes, and even depression. Alongside increased stress, we also experience decreased happiness. It's hard to feel joyous when we're constantly focusing on what's wrong, what's missing, or what could go wrong. It's like trying to enjoy a beautiful sunset while staring at a cracked smartphone screen. You'll miss the beauty because you're too focused on the flaw. And then there's the impact on overall life satisfaction. When we're mired in negativity, we can't fully appreciate the good in our lives. We're too busy looking for what's wrong to notice what's right. This can lead to feelings of discontent, dissatisfaction, and a sense of never being enough. Perhaps the most insidious effect, however, is how this mindset limits our potential and blinds us to opportunities. When we're so focused on the negatives, we fail to see the doors that are open to us. We become so consumed by the fear of failure that we don't even try. We become stuck in a cycle of negativity that hinders growth, stifles creativity, and prevents us from reaching our full potential. But it's not all doom and gloom. We can change our focus. The first step is recognizing the impact of negativity on our lives. Once we understand the harm it can cause, we can start to take steps to shift our mindset and cultivate a more positive outlook. And that's what we'll explore in the next scene. So, stay tuned. We can actually train ourselves to focus more on the positives in our lives. How, you ask? The answer lies in cultivating happiness habits. These are simple daily practices that over time can significantly shift our perspective from the negatives to the positives. Let's start with gratitude. This isn't about ignoring the negatives or dismissing our problems. Rather, it's about taking time each day to recognize and appreciate the good things in our lives, no matter how small they may seem. It might be the warmth of the sun on your face, the taste of your morning coffee, or the smile of a loved one. By consciously acknowledging these positives, we start to realize just how many tiles are in place. Next, we have mindfulness. This is the practice of being fully present in the moment, without judgment. It's about experiencing life as it unfolds, rather than getting caught up in the what-ifs and if-onlys. When we practice mindfulness, we're less likely to dwell on the negatives and more likely to appreciate the positives. We start to notice the beauty in the everyday, the joy in the ordinary. Then there's self-compassion. This is about treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding we'd extend to a good friend. It's about recognizing that everyone has missing tiles, that it's a part of being human. When we're kind to ourselves, we're more likely to see our missing tiles as opportunities for growth and learning, rather than as flaws or failures. And these are just a few examples. There are many other happiness habits you can cultivate, from maintaining positive relationships, to practicing optimism, to regularly exercising. The key is to choose practices that resonate with you and to make them a regular part of your life. By cultivating these habits, we can begin to shift our focus from the missing tiles to the ones that are in place. And in doing so, we create a more balanced, positive, and fulfilling life. It's about time we stop letting the missing tiles define our view. Life, inherently, can never be perfect. It's a beautiful mosaic, a tapestry of experiences woven together with threads of joy, sorrow, triumph, and defeat. Each one of us has a unique design, and yes, there might be a few missing tiles, a few threads that seem out of place. But does that make the entire picture any less beautiful? Absolutely not. In our pursuit of perfection, we often lose sight of the bigger picture. We become so fixated on the missing tiles that we fail to appreciate the captivating mosaic that's right in front of us. By focusing on what's missing, we overlook the abundance of what's present. This tunnel vision, this missing tile syndrome, robs us of our happiness and satisfaction. So, how can we shift our focus and embrace the whole picture? The first step is acceptance. Accept the fact that life is not about achieving a state of flawless perfection. It's about experiencing the range of human emotions, learning from our mistakes, and growing with every step we take. Next, practice mindfulness. Live in the present moment. Instead of dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, focus on the here and now. Each moment is a gift, a piece of the puzzle that makes up the grand picture of our lives. Finally, cultivate an attitude of gratitude. Count your blessings, not your troubles. Every day, take a moment to appreciate what you have. It could be something as simple as a beautiful sunset, a good book, or a warm cup of coffee. These small moments of joy add up, filling in the gaps and making the picture whole. Remember, it's the imperfections that make life interesting, the missing tiles that add character to our mosaic. Let's stop chasing perfection and start embracing the entirety of our experiences. When we focus on the whole picture, we can appreciate the abundance that surrounds us. Positivity is more than just a state of mind. It's a powerful tool, a beacon of light that can transform the landscape of our thoughts, our actions, and ultimately our lives. We've journeyed through the labyrinth of negativity, witnessed its impact, and understood its roots. We've seen how it's often easier to focus on what's missing, what's wrong, rather than appreciate the abundance that surrounds us. But here's the good news. We can shift our focus. We can cultivate habits that nurture positivity. We can choose to appreciate the whole picture instead of getting caught up in the missing tiles. Because when we do, we realize that even the gaps, the missing parts, they too have a role to play. They too contribute to our unique, beautiful mosaic. Remember, every tile, missing or not, contributes to the beautiful mosaic of your life. Focus on the whole picture, and you'll see just how beautiful it truly is. We hope you enjoyed our video. Please visit our website at www.happiness.coach.